Hello everyone, and welcome to this video of mine, where I will tell you the true strength of the character called King Godverse, who is a character from the wiki called the true Godverse. Now, let me first give the basic information of who is King Godverse exactly. King Godverse, or also called Godverse, is an introverted almighty god, created by the creator Darthroom, the current owner of the true Godverse. King Godverse is part of the Ether Continuum, a group of almighty gods who are metaversal in the Godverse tiering system. Metaversal entities in the true Godverse are conceptually unbounded by everything and cannot be defined by anything through it. As the creator Darthroom did confirm multiple times how Godverse and the nigh-omnipotent entities in the true Godverse are all not bounded by concepts in the true Godverse Discord server. You could argue, of course, because those are author statements, so they are not valid. However, throughout the stories where Godverse appears, it is obvious that he is intentionally limiting himself. Reading the story in terms that it uses, like him limiting himself to a physical form or touching things that have no concepts, walking on layers that represent boundlessness, or limiting himself to a character that he himself wants to act as. So, not only a physical limitation but also limiting himself on a mental level on what he calls a character, even on a conceptual level. Which is why I say taking the words of Darthroom is kind of valid, as the story itself points it to this direction, even if it didn't set it just straight to the reader. Now, of course, this doesn't say much of the scale of King Godverse. Being conceptually not limited by anything doesn't mean much if it doesn't have any feats added to that state of his. So, let's just do that. Let us see what feats that King has done, and we start immediately with the cosmology of the true Godverse. On the true Godverse cosmology page, it states how King Godverse created most of the cosmology all alone, with King Godverse still tweaking on the cosmology. So, here we have a feat of King Godverse having been the person who created the cosmology. We shall talk immediately with two high-tier structures called the Lower and Greater Otherverse. The Lesser Otherverse has dimensions parallel to Aleph 2, with there being an uncountably infinite layers where each one is transcending the one below and being a higher Aleph. So the first is Aleph 2, then Aleph 3, Aleph 4, with this continuing in uncountably infinite layers. The Greater Otherverse transcends the superior zone where the Lesser Otherverse is in, with the Greater Otherverse transcending the entire zone, and its layers, with the Greater Otherverse layers being immeasurable in all aspects, with its size being inaccessible and unreachable, with this happening in each layer. There are other structures, but those aren't important for the scale currently, as one could try using them to argue the true Godverse being some layers into boundless from versus battle tiering system. But I am not here to do that, as I don't feel confident with these scales. So in short, with what we know about the true Godverse wiki, we can conclude using the versus battle system, as the wiki has context about dimensions where higher ones are inaccessible for ones below, even ARF existing there. That Godverse scales to high outerversal in that system. While in the character stats and profile wiki he would be outerversal and maybe arguably high outerversal, with outerversal being a safer scale. However, that is all I have to say about the character Godverse and the scale of the wiki itself. The next scale shall be about a different character, this time not from the true Godverse. That is all, and have a nice day.